good things are going to happen. So, you know, that's been my motto to everything I've done, every kid that I've ever taught, any kid that I've ever coached, my own kids. I always preach hard work is going to give you something in some way, whether it be spiritual, it might be in your relationships, it might be monetary, whatever it may be, it's going to bring you good things. So hard work ethic is something that I've grown up with. I learned that from my dad, who started like I said, a family business from nothing and turned it into, you know, we have a car wash, we have a small engine dealership, we have an automotive repair business and a small and a mini market. And you know, he built that up from working 7 in the morning till midnight, 7 days a week, but still found time to get home and find time to eat dinner with all of us. So I've kind of tried to mold my life after that, everything I've done. And I think it's done okay. So just give you a background of me. You know, I told you I did grow up in a family business. It was an automotive business, a small engine dealership business. So I've worked for them when I was younger, while I was in high school. Ended up from there, I was recruited to play football in college. I got injured, changed my whole life around, which is a good thing. I was going to be a chiropractor. I think I was just going to school to figure out to play sports. So I'm glad I got hurt, actually. Ended up transferring from there. I went to a community college, and my thoughts were I was going to work for our family business. So I went to Williamsport Area Community College, which I was going for automotive. And while I was there, I got involved in student government. I eventually became the president of the student government down there. And that's where my mentor there said, why don't you be a teacher? And it never came into my mind to be a teacher. So kind of thought about it a little bit and decided I'm going to go on to Penn State University. I enrolled in the to the bachelor's degree program in vocational industrial education. While I was there, I became involved in the Collegiate VICA program, Vocational Industrial Clubs of America, became president eventually of that, allowed me to get into the speaking circuit a little bit, and was involved in speaking at a lot of conferences. In my junior year, I think going into my senior year, I got a call from Wallenpaupack High School and offered me a job. It was December of my junior year going into my senior year, and I had to change and make up my mind whether I wanted to continue having a great time at Penn State University as a young guy or come out and be an adult and start to work. Didn't take me long to figure out I'm going to come out and be an adult and start to work. So it was, again, probably one of the best decisions I made. I went back to school the next 2 years in the summer to get my associate's degree, or excuse me, my bachelor's degree. So it took me 2 summers to finish that up. The nice thing is I did get paid for my student teaching while I was at Wallenpaupack, so it worked out very well. Few years after that, I decided that I wanted to maybe branch out and do something different. So I got a hold of Penn State. Well, actually, it was weird. I had looked into the master's program at Penn State that dealt with workforce education. And I thought about training and development, like going into firms and seeing what they're doing wrong, doing needs assessments, based on their needs assessments, figuring out, you know, things that they can do to change their businesses. And it worked out well that they were doing some branch work through Berwick Nuclear Power Plant. Some of their engineers wanted this workforce education program master's. So lucky for me, it's an hour and a half closer than Penn State University. So I was going down to the Berwick Nuclear Power Plant and taking some classes there. Ended up finishing up at Penn State, doing a lot of Thursday night classes, driving there. And then a lot of my classes were Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'd go up, I'd stay overnight on a Friday, on a Saturday night, and then come home on Sunday and start teaching again Monday morning. So those weren't bad. The Friday nights when you drove to Penn State and then drove all the way back and get home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, then work the next day, those were some tough times, let me tell you. So I ended up graduating my master's degree. And then at that point, I thought, what the heck, might as well start my PhD. Started having a family at that time, so got a little rough. But finished up my PhD at Penn State. I think that was in 2001 or so, somewhere around there. Did have a job offer from Ford Motor Company. Just didn't like the way that kind of worked out for me. I would have had to move. Just started a family and didn't really want to move. I first would have started off in New Jersey for 2 years, would have went to California for 2 years, and then I was going to Detroit for 2 years. Just didn't want to do that. I always kind of wonder what would have happened if I would have gone that route, but probably would have never met Jason Angerman. So it was probably the best decision I ever made. So I ended up not doing that. Had a couple other offers. Actually, Penn College in Williamsport offered me a position down there, but just nothing seemed right. Wallenpaupack seemed like the place to be. I'm kind of a hometown guy. I enjoy being around my family and helping out with our business. So I ended up staying here. Became head football coach in 2006. So I've been doing that for quite some time. This is my 31st year teaching. So I'm getting close to retirement. So hallelujah. I did start teaching when I was 10. So that's why if you're thinking that guy can't be that old, I was very young when I started teaching. Just kidding. I am getting old. But now since then, I've done some other things. I do some consulting work for Temple University. I do some consulting work for Pennsylvania Automotive Association. I write their monthly newsletters for them. Just got involved with some stuff with Lackawanna College to do some work with them. So try to keep myself busy on the same side as I'm a head football coach here at the school. I teach a couple night courses here at the school. So always like being busy. I always seem to perform better when I have more things on my plate. When I don't have a lot to do, I tend to get a little bored and I don't keep things as structured. When I'm under the gun, I tend to perform a little bit better. And as Jason he might have told you, we were involved, he and I, through another organization. We were doing some work with the NFL football players. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully we get back to that again, right, Jay? Really neat. But again, always tried to branch out a little bit and get some different ideas, and always kind of trying to challenge myself a little bit in everything that I did. Again, my dad always told me, when I first originally thought I was going to work for our business, he said, son, I really don't want you to work for us. I don't want you using your hands that much and having a sore back as you get older. And, I'm glad he kind of forced me that way. My sister, my brother, all my cousins still work there, and nothing against them, but, it was probably the best decision I ever made, getting out of the family business and branching out a little bit to do some different things. So it's been fun. I like changes, all day during the school. I teach my kids during the day. I come in usually at 6 o'clock. Sometimes I have some kids come in early at 7 to work with them. And then I teach until later part of the day. I have 2 blocks, and then I'm kind of have the title as curriculum or director of the career and technical education here. All it is a name. I get a block off to do some extra work, because they're using the heck out of me. So it's fun though. I get to do something different, and I go down to the weight room. I run the weight room here at the school in the off season of football, and then I come back up here to my room and do some work again at night and get home at 8 o'clock at night or so. But it's a crazy schedule, but it's a lot of fun. Just a little bit about our program here. I know Jason alluded to it a little bit. Our little school, it's Little Wallenpaupack. We are a comprehensive high school, which means all of our career classes are in our school, whereas some other areas, they have career technical centers where you send your kids from your high school to those centers. Ours is contained right in Wallenpaupack. I'm just happy to say, I like to compete, whether it's, when I was younger, I used to compete at everything, and I wanted to bring that to my profession. So if I'm playing checkers with my kids, I want to beat them. My wife always yells at me. I want to beat them in everything I do. That's the way I am. So I use my classroom. I use the weight room. I use the football field as a competition. Here in my class, 3 times at Wallenpaupack, we've had the national automotive winners in the whole nation. Our first one was in 2015. That year, each kid won a little over $250,000 each. We won it again in 2018. Probably around 225,000 each kid won, and then we won it in 2019. So we are the reigning champs. It was canceled last year and it was canceled this year. So I was just talking to somebody from the Pennsylvania Automotive Association. I said, just so you guys know, Wallenpaupack is still the national champs in the whole country. So I'm still sticking with that. Whether we would have won it this year or not, I don't know. But we did just come home from a contest last weekend. It was down in Exton. I found a competition down there, and our kids went down. I took three groups of students down there, 3 pairs. We made it in the top 20. You had to take a written test score in order to get in the top 20. After you get to the top 20, it's a hands-on contest to find out who the top 6 are for scholarships. Out of our 3, all 3 teams made the top 20, and then I had a team place 6th. No, team take 4th, which was about probably around $15,000 they won each. And then I had the team take first, which is about $70,000 in scholarships they won there that day too. So, and then the school won a nice box and things like that. So that's the one reason I like the contest is when the national one that we win in nationals, every year when we win that, we get a really like $20,000 piece of equipment here at the school, which our school can't really afford that. So the only way I can get nice things for our kids to work on is just win contests. So that's my ultimate goal every year, is just to win some free things. Then obviously kids that are going to school for free is a great bonus also. So it's a lot of fun. It's good. So enough about me. That's a little bit of my background and what I do. And I'm really high energy and I like to talk fast. So hopefully I didn't lose anybody. But any questions you might have, Jay, I'm not sure where you want me to go or how you want me to go from here, or if it's questions and just to see where I've been at. But my PhD, I didn't say it, is in workforce education, training and development also. And hopefully when I retire, I'm not going to retire, and hopefully find some other job that I can do and have some fun, because teaching, after 31 years is starting to get a little bit old, but I still enjoy it. Like I said, I don't have to be here till 8 o'clock. I get here at 6, and my students come in at 7 o'clock instead of 8, 10. They just like being around, and I just like being around them. I think that's the thing that keeps me kind of young. So it's a lot of fun.
As you can see, a ton of passion, a ton of drive, 31 years in the business, a ton of experience. I'm going to open it up for you first, because I have questions that I know circle around the things that you want to know. But I'm going to let you ask Doc some questions.
I do have a question. How did you handle when everything went remote with some of your programs? And I know my daughter was dating Nick. His last name escapes me now. When they won in 2018.
In 2018, Nick Hamer.
Hamer.
Yeah, he's a $200,000 winner.
So that was exciting, even for Becca. She was so excited for him. But I actually was thinking, I mean, I'm a math teacher. So when we went remote, taught my classes online. And, but I was thinking of programs like yours. Mm-hmm. So what did you do?
So here's what I did. Most of the career tech people here at the school, they were giving the kids schoolwork, like bookwork and reading. One thing you got to know about career and technical education is kids don't want to read. They don't, we make them do it as much as possible, but they want to do things with their hands. They're active kids. That's why they want to get in that. So what I was doing besides, I was giving them responsibilities of doing tests and reading things and watching videos, but I would come into the school and video myself doing tasks. And then what I would do is I would give them those videos. They would have to watch it. And then I'd make up a worksheet that would kind of ask those questions about some of the skills that I was presenting to them, so that they kind of understood things as much as I could do it in that way. So that was the only way I could figure to do it. And what I would do every day is I would do something weird. Like I'd wear something different, or, I'd say something weird, just they like to laugh a little bit and have some fun. So I found some way each time when I do a video to make it exciting, or as energetic as I could. So it seemed to work really well. The kids seemed to get on every morning, and they were like, what is he going to do this time? So sometimes I'd turn on a video and my face would be right up there like this, and I'd be doing something stupid, but that's the things that they got fired up about. So that's what I did. Was it the right thing to do? I don't know, but it worked for me, and the kids seem to stay engaged. So if this happens again, I might have to come up with something else. But I think the secret to education, and the secret to anything, is just to keep it exciting. Because, just like anything, education or teaching, or, doing consulting work, or, whatever the job may be, if you don't find ways to make it exciting and fun, it tends to get a little boring. And when things get boring, you're not excited about getting up in the morning. And, lucky for me, for 31 years, I'm excited to get up in the morning. I'm excited to go to work. And, I preach that to my kids every day. I said, guys, I don't care what you do, whether you're a welder, you're a nurse, or, you're an automotive technician or a diesel technician. When you get up in the morning, you got to be excited to go to work, because if you're not, 40 years of your life is going to be miserable. And that's a long time to be miserable. So weekends aren't just long enough. 5 days in a row of being miserable, it takes you 2 days to just recover from being miserable. So you better find something that you like to do. And that's, I try to get that through their heads all the time. And don't worry about money. It's not about the money. If somebody's paying you to have fun, you're not working.
Epic. I love the videos. We made videos here too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
cool.
did. We did. That's a great one. I think they like seeing you.
Yeah.
Seeing you interact.
There is a lot of stuff online. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could find online dealing with teaching tasks, but I think, you know, if it wasn't me doing it, they tend to lose interest. And who is this guy? So I was able, since I know them, I can interact with them through that video a little bit, whereas somebody else doesn't know who they don't know who that person is. So they can't see those mannerisms that they're looking for to kind of keep them intrigued a little bit. So and again, that way is that's not the only way, that's for darn sure, but it worked well for me.
You got Jess Hill here saying that you haven't changed in 30, what is it? I can't do the math. 8 years. She graduated in 2013 from Wallenpaupack.
Right.
She's right here in the middle here.
I see her.
Just,
how are you? Great seeing you.
Good to see you too. How's it going?
It's living a dream, having a great time. Actually, I told my wife I would be home at a decent hour tonight, so I can't be on too long.
You
I
got
was late
it.
all this week. I was getting home at 9. So
You got
of course she goes, what time are you home tomorrow night? I said, I'm done early, honey. But I said, Dr. Angerman needs me. So if Dr. Angerman needs me, I'm in. So
I do.
I told her I'd be home by dinner time. So
you got it.
7 o'clock or so, whenever we're done.
You got it. You got it. It's not going to be long here.
No,
so I've got a question.
Yeah.
And it's around your ability to navigate administration, right? That's kind of one of the real questions I think that this class wants to answer is how do you butter them up? How do you navigate the demands of admin versus demands of your classroom and your students? How do you navigate that?
Well, I will say one thing, and again, this is my opinion. The one thing that I always try to do now as being the department head here at the school is I try to see everybody. You know, unfortunately, my thing is some of our administrators that I've dealt with in the past, the only time I ever see them is when there's a problem. And to me, that's an issue. I would like, every once in a while, everybody needs a pat on the back. You know, if all you ever hear is you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, or this parent called on you, that starts to get old after a while. So what I try to do is I try to go into classrooms, into my fellow CTE department and say, hey, how are things going? Hey, I heard this kid did very well in this competition, or I heard this kid made this Greek salad that was unbelievable the other day that teachers were talking about. Everybody needs a little positivity once in a while. So, you know, if you're ever in that position that you're a leader in some way, you know, or a manager of something, try to give, you know, maybe it's a note on your desk or something that says, I saw you do this great yesterday, or this was something I saw or something I heard about you. Everybody needs it, I think, and this is just me, everybody needs that pat on the back once in a while. You know, it's not everything, but if you only ever, as a leader, only ever give negative comments, or you did this wrong, or you did that wrong, eventually, I'm not going to respect you that much. You know, to me, there's more to being a leader than always bringing up the negative components, or always being that person that's going to, you know, tell you what you did wrong. It's always nice once in a while, at least I think it's nice once in a while to say to somebody, hey, you just did this great. To me, you tell me that, I'm going to work my butt off even harder the next day. All right. That's the way I am. And everybody's got their own leadership style. You know, and Jason worked with me coaching wise too. And I try to do the same thing in coaching wise. I'm going to tell you when you do something wrong, but I'm also going to say, you know what, that was a great job. You know, the way you handled that issue with those two kids fighting, that was great. Or I heard a parent called you and talked to you and you said this and that, and they were very impressed with the way they handled that situation. It's always great to hear those things because that will encourage you to do it again and to maybe even do it better. And then what you can also do is you can also give a little extra on top of that to give them that insight to maybe do something different the next time. So, and again, that is my idea behind it, but everybody's going to have their own leadership style. And, you know, you're going to learn that in your classes when you talk about leadership styles and how to deal with different things. But I always think that pat on the back, or that you did a good job today, to give that attaboy type thing, you know, that's not a bad thing to do. I don't know if I handled that one right, Jay.
No, that was good. That was from the leadership perspective, which is really good. I also have seen and witnessed your ability to connect with your, we don't like to use the word, with leadership as well. And I think that you do a really amazing job of connecting and building relationship with them outside and beyond the negativity. So could you speak a little bit about that, especially for younger teachers like Jess and some others here? We've got some younger, newer teachers that aren't in positions of leadership per se. They're kind of on the bottom of the totem pole. What kind of advice would you give them?
I'd say the big thing is lead by example. If you want the people that you're leading to act a certain way, then you need to act that certain way. You know, I've always been a firm believer in, like, for 30 years of teaching, I never came to school without a shirt and tie on. There was dress down days. I didn't dress down. I was always in a shirt and tie, and everybody would always say, you know, how come you're wearing a shirt and tie and you're in a automotive shop? Well, I'm a professional. Yes, I'm a teacher in automotive, but I'm a professional. I went to school to be an educator, and I'm a professional, so I'm going to wear a shirt and tie. So I always tried to act in a way that I want them to emulate what I'm doing. So if I'm acting like a professional, they're going to act like a professional. If I'm saying swear words or I'm doing something that I don't want my kids to do, then I shouldn't do that. I should always be an example. So I always thought, as being a leader, whether it be a leader of adults or a leader of students, I want to act the way that I want them to act towards me. So respect is always a big thing. Trust, you know, being accountable to each other. You know, if you ask me to do something, I'm going to get it done. If I ask you to do something, I expect you to do the same exact thing. So I think one of the most important things leadership wise is you better do the same as you're asking others to do. Because if you're not, I'm not going to respect you. All right. So if you tell me to act a certain way and you're not doing that, I don't respect that. I'm not gonna follow that. And kids are a big one. You know, if they see you doing something wrong, don't think they don't see it. You know, as soon as I do something remotely wrong, everybody picks up on it. Now, unfortunately, everybody's got a phone. So today, of course, some of my remote students, they weren't responding much when I think I had 4 or 5 kids remote today. So at one point I wasn't hearing anything from them. So I get right up in the screen and I knock on the screen. You know, I was going like this. Is anybody out there? And of course the one kid goes to me, you know, they're taping you right now. And my son is in the same grade as those guys. So I'll go home and I'll probably have Snapchat pictures he'll be showing me of, Dad, would you knock that stuff off? But yeah, they seem to always catch you doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. But it's not like I did anything wrong. I was just trying to be goofy a little bit, and they take pictures. So he'll show me like pictures of things that I'm doing in the classroom and I don't even realize I'm doing it. So cameras are a terrible thing.
Any questions emerging out there? Because I got a ton lined up.
I would like to just advocate for Doc. I went to Wallenpaupack, so I'm familiar with some of the classes, and honestly, like, I was never interested in VOTEC, but knowing who Doc Watson is, you wanted to know what VOTEC was. So I remember, like, all my friends and I would be like, we should just take a class, just do it. But our guidance counselors would never let us. So, you know, because we weren't on that track, which makes sense, you know, as a teacher now, but just to kind of, you know, give some personal experience, like, even if you didn't have Doc Watson as a teacher, you knew who Doc Watson was, and in a great way. You know, I was a cheerleader, so I got to see a lot of his coaching skills, and, you know, outside, I wasn't actually there at practice, but really just kind of you hit the mark with the leadership, because actually it was noticed by your students, whether you had them or not, because you represented kind of like what Wallenpaupack Pride was. And I don't know, I just think that you were a really great person to have in the district, whether, you know, I don't even think I mentioned 2 words to you as a student, really, but just know that you were noticed and that you were appreciated by students everywhere. Because even today, like, I just texted all of my friends to tell them that you were here, and I got are you kidding me? Like, what is going on? That's awesome. You know, all these great things. And I just want you to know that you were appreciated by us and still are. So thank you.
Listen, that goes a long way. And like I just told you before, every once in a while, you need that little pat on the back. That went a long way. And I will give you one other thing on that. And these are little things that keep me going. Is this morning, I got a text from my son. Now, this was at 12:40 last night, so I'm in bed. So I get up, and this morning at 5:30 this morning, I see a text from him, like, what is this? So I open it up and he goes, Dad, I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate everything you do for all the kids. It's Teacher Appreciation Week. So he said, thanks a lot. So that went a long way for me. That just, I could have floated into school this morning. So it's weird, little things like that. And that's from my son. And we usually don't have those kind of communication. Usually he says, Dad, don't act that way because my friends say you're acting goofy. He sent me that, and that was awesome to hear my own son say, I appreciate everything you do for our school and for our kids. It really goes a long way. So Jess, thank you very much. Again, that'll keep me going for my last few years here. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And then, you know, I'm sure there's kids out there that hated me. I probably yelled at them, or I said something stupid, or I said some goofy things. And you know, you don't get into the education, or you don't get into leadership or anything to impress everybody. You try to do things that you feel are right. Of course, as you're going to find out as you go on to your careers, everything you do is not going to be the right thing for every person. And unfortunately, you can't go through your career worrying about what other people are going to think about you. You need to do what you feel is right. You need to do what is ethical and should be done, or whatever kind of rules you have at your employment, wherever you're going to be. And that's the way you have to attack it. And you can't go into it saying, oh, I'm nervous if this person's going to say this, or if this parent's going to not like this. Because, you know, the one thing, like in sports wise, there's always that parent that's out there that says, my kid should be playing and you ruined his life because you didn't play him, or something like that. And unfortunately, that's going to happen. You know, I always take it to heart when I hear those. But you can't. I mean, there's always going to be somebody out there that's not going to agree with something that you agree with. But the most important part is, do you feel you're doing what is correct? And if you feel that way, then you got to go with it 110%. And that's what I do every day. And again, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to possibly disagree. But as long as I feel it's the right thing and I'm giving 110% effort, then I'm all for it. But thanks again, Jess. You just fired me up. I'm ready to get teaching. I'm ready for tomorrow morning already.
Well, you were a huge influence, so it's no problem.
Danny, you got a question?
Yes, hi, Mr. Watson. I've been here the whole time, but I'm helping my daughter move out of her beautiful sorority house.
Yes.
So I'm kind of doing double duty. But as I was listening, you know, I really appreciate the ideas on leadership, and you know, some of us who we have been doing this for a while, and you know, now we have some administrators and maybe some other teachers who don't seem like they're very inspired. And I'm wondering if you have suggestions on like ways to kind of help draw them out a little bit, or you know, what do you do when you feel like a lot around you is stagnant, you know, and you don't want it to stay that way? I feel like we're kind of hitting a little bit of a wall at my school.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And, you know, the right answer might not be the right answer for everyone. It seems like, unfortunately, in the days of, especially during COVID and everything, we're all separated, you know, and unfortunately, when you all separate, I think in any career, whether it be education or, you know, any leadership type career, there needs to be collaboration amongst everybody. And, you know, and unfortunately, Zoom, just as I would love to be sitting in a classroom with you guys right now, because you can do so much more. You can see hand movements and everything else. I'm a mover. I like always moving here, you know, but unfortunately in these days now with COVID, you know, we can't see each other. We have masks on all the time. So it's a tough gig right now. It really is. So you have to figure out some way, you know, of motivation. Again, you know, maybe finding somebody doing something good might spark something. If there's any way to get the group together, like maybe an ice cream social, or I like to eat and I like sweets. So You tell me you're gonna have an ice cream social, I'll be there. I'll be there at the frat house tonight.
Me
Um,
too.
Yeah. So, I mean, something like that. I mean, everybody's got their different way of getting fired up. So the key is the kind of learn who you're dealing with and who you have and what sparks them, what gets them going. It might be a little note that says, saw you doing something great yesterday. It might be inviting them to an ice cream social. It might be, buying somebody a coffee one day or something. Whatever it may be, everybody has a different way. And, unfortunately, everybody's different. So if you can kind of change things up a little bit and every once in a while do something different for somebody, and if you notice that is that spark or that thing that gets them fired up a little bit, then you can hopefully use that on other people. But it's a tough one, especially right now. I'm a pretty upbeat guy. There's days that I come in, I'm like, oh man, this again, or what's going to happen today, or how many kids are going to get quarantined, or, who's going to say I did something wrong. So everybody gets down. I mean, the secret is to find a way to get yourself back up, whether it be finding an inspirational quote. Every once in a while, I'm a quote guy. I use quotes all the time, whether it be with my football team. I use quotes with my own kids. Like on Fridays, I'm a weirdo, just so you know. On Fridays, I always send my family, we have a family group chat. Every Friday, I actually did it today because I was down a little bit this morning, just so you know. I sent out a group chat to my family. So today's was, oh my gosh, what did I do with my phone? But today was my oldest daughter's graduating this weekend from Quinnipiac. She's going to graduate as a nurse, and she has her first job already starting June 7th. So we're going up there to party a little bit. And I basically told everybody in our group chat, tough week this week between, kids being quarantined, between, some of the pressures of other things. I went through a few things that my family knows goes on, and late hours. I said, really looking forward to getting with everybody and having some family time and staying in a hotel, being away from all this. So everybody needs that pickup, and it's great. They all come back. And usually, like I said, I'll throw some kind of, carpe diem or something to get them fired up. And I usually always end it with attack the day. It's a weird thing, but every time I end up something with our little group chats, I always say, make sure you attack the day, win the day. No matter what it is, whether it be sitting in a class, whether it be my wife being a nurse and taking care of some people and doing well there, but win the day. Whatever you're going to do, make sure you do it to 110% of your ability, and it will end up good in some way. I mean, I'm a firm believer in, if you put every ounce of energy you have, something good's going to happen. Will something bad happen too? Yeah, that's life. Life is going to present you with a gazillion challenges. It's how you deal with those challenges is what makes you great. And like I said, I felt a little down, and I was a little out of it. So my Friday thing that I usually do turned into a Thursday thing, because I think I needed it just as much as maybe they needed it. So those kind of things. And maybe that's even something that you can do with, if you're a leader, maybe everybody gets a text every once in a while with hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, or something that, is going to motivate them in some way to do better. And everybody needs that kick in the butt. And I need that kick in the butt once in a while also. So sometimes I have to just be the kick in my butt. So I give myself the mule kick and do it myself. So I just find different ways to do that. So it's a tough one, Danielle, but it's something that you just got to play with a little bit until you find that right thing.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you. It's been great hearing from you tonight. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Michelle had a question, and it was, what if you are doing what you think is moral and ethical with the students, but your administration is not supportive?
That's a great question. It depends, what it is. Hopefully sometimes I probably do some things that are perceived as maybe not being the right thing. The first thing I'd probably do if my administrator did approach me on something that, maybe he or she said, this is ethically wrong, or whatever it may be. If it was around a group of people, I wouldn't say a word. First thing I'd do, I'd just take it all in. I don't think, addressing an administrator with anything that's negative towards what they're saying is the right thing to do in front of anybody. So what I would always do, and I try to preach this to my kids at all times, handle the environment you're in, or the situation you're in, the right way. handling it the right way is not going to be to counteract anything that something's being said to me, especially if it's a leadership position telling me that. So what I always say, if you ever have an instance like that, you know, somebody's perceiving what you're doing to be incorrect or wrong in any way, I would approach them in a situation that they could talk with me in a situation that we're by ourselves, and I would give my side of the story, and I would like to hear why I was put into that situation or why it was perceived that what I was doing was incorrect. At that point, I'd either say, yeah, you're right, or, well, here's what I think, or here's what I was trying to do, and give my reason behind it. And then obviously they can counteract with, no, it was this was what is wrong, or this is how you should handle it. So I always think if you're in that situation, pull them aside in some way, and then you can give your reasoning behind what you did, because it's happened to me before. I've said some things that I probably shouldn't have said. And, you know, coaching wise, we used to always give a pat on the butt in the old days, and you know, you're not supposed to do that stuff anymore. So you know, when you hear those things that you should do differently, learn from those. And if it's something that you really believe in, then you need to approach your leader and then give them the reasons of why you're doing it. And then obviously, like anything else, they're the leader. If the boss says you shouldn't do it, then you don't do it. But if I'm going to try my butt off, or my best to try and give my reasons behind why I did what I did. Hopefully I answered that one well.
You did answer it well. The situation I'm in is I'm going to be teaching two completely different groups of students. One group of students is going to have a very, very strong parental support system, and the parents are able to advocate for these students. The other group of students have parents that are unable to advocate for those students because they don't know what their students are entitled to. So I advocate for the students and the parents that are unable to advocate for their children. And it's a situation where I'm not really being told. It's just, well, you know, you sort of have to pay attention to these parents, the parents that know the law, the parents that advocate for their children, and just sort of, they didn't really say it. It's an unspoken thing, sort of toss aside the kids who have nobody to advocate for them. And I'm having issues with it.
I have a huge issue with that. I
Yes.
really do. You know, I tend to gravitate to those students that are in that situation that they have no parental leadership that steers them in the right direction. Last year during the pandemic, when we first started, when kids weren't in school, I was bored. I just like working. So I was getting too bored at home doing what I was doing. And I ended up starting to pick up lunches and taking lunches to all the families that either refused to feed their kids or refused to get food, or whatever the case would be. I was taking the things to them. So I think, just as you, sounds like you, Michelle, I think those parents that maybe might not be as good at doing parental duties as others, I think those kids need that much more attention. A lot of times as teachers, as administrators, whatever it may be, we're put in the role almost as being a parent. I always say, my kids that are in my classroom, I'm like a father figure to them. Football wise, you know, I think of those kids all as my own kids, and I treat them that way. I'm going to tell them when they're wrong. I'm going to tell them when they're right. And I'm going to try and help them as much as I can. Obviously, there's going to be kids that are in situations that don't need as much help. And I'm going to help those ones that need it a little bit more, like maybe not having those parents that are doing their job as well as they maybe should be. I'm going to try and help those even more, and maybe even help the parents. Got to a point, I had one guy, the mother left, and he was very illiterate, couldn't really sign his own name. I was signing checks for him and cashing his checks for him. So, and trying to help him on how to deal with that. So I actually got a bank that started working with him, that they worked it out that they could cash his checks, and he was able to do that on his own. So, you know, I think that's our job, is to seek those parents out, or seek out those kids that need more help, and pay more attention to them. And I'm not saying you neglect the kids that are better off and doing well, but those kids don't need that kind of support, or those parents don't need that kind of support. So I don't agree with somebody telling me I need to pay more attention to these parents because they're maybe linked to the school board or something like that. Again, boils back to what we were talking about before. It's the ethics of what we're supposed to do. My job is not to impress the school board presidents. I give you a great example. My first year as being the head coach, one of the players was their father was on the school board. He wasn't a great football player, so I didn't play him much. The first game I had, our administrator called me up. He goes, "Mark, you got to play him. You got to get him in the game." I said, "I'm going to tell you this right now." I said, "I know I'm new to this." I said, "But if that's the way you want me to be, I'm going to put my resignation right in right now. I am not going to put a kid into a game that doesn't deserve to be in a game when there's other kids that are practicing harder or doing what they're supposed to do better than this kid." So I'm a firm believer in that, and I've always been that way. If you want me to do something I think is ethically not correct, then I'm going to resign or I'm going to do something else. But I would stick to your guns. Michelle, if you think the right thing to do is to help out those other parents or to help out those kids that need, possibly a little bit more assistance, by all means, you do that, because that's our job. Our job is our job is way bigger than teaching kids math or English, or, it's also to teach them some things that are going to help them to be better adults, to be a provider to a family, like I always tell our kids, to be a better husband, to be a better wife, to be a better employee. That's our job, I think, not just to make sure they can do these math problems or, fix a car. I think we have to teach them all these other skills that are going to make them better employees and better husbands, better wife. And those I think are just as important as learning those classroom duties. So keep doing that, Michelle. You're doing a great job. I love it. If you were working for me, if I was an administrator over you, I'd be like, "Michelle, keep up the great work. If you have any situation that you need help with, be more than happy to help you out."
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Ooh, any others out there? All right, good. Listen, there can be others. I'm pretty sure we can follow up with Doc. I have one more question. It's actually a two-part question. Doc, you go about 110 all day, every day. I think one of the things, I'm hearing is, you just got to be true to yourself. And I think you lived in your truth, and that's what allowed you to have such success, because you are 1000% committed to what you're able to do and just doing it, come what may, rain or shine. So what does downtime look like when you're going so hard, right? You got community duties, you got parent duties, you got husbandly duties, you got extracurriculars. What does your downtime look like? How do you recover? How do you recoup? Because it can be exhausting.
I love being outside and doing outside work. So the one thing I've always kind of made sure of is when I'm not working, I'm with my family. My wife, luckily, my wife does a great job. Anything that I'm not at, she's always there. But any second I can find, any time that I'm not tied down to something that I'm supposed to be doing, I'm with my family. So I try to get home and eat dinner with the family as much as humanly possible. I make sure they wait for me. If I'm running a little bit late, I'll put in a call, just wait a little while longer, I'll be there. But we try to do everything that we can together. And I try again to keep it, exciting. I'll send something, "Hey, let's go for ice cream tonight," or whatever it may be. I think family time is really, really important. So whenever I'm not working, I am making every effort to be around my family, and if I am running late, I will go up to their rooms. If they're already up in bed, I'll give a little tap and say, "Hey, have a good night. And, sorry I didn't get home in time to see you before and ask you your day." And when we sit at the dinner table, the first thing I always do is I go around the table. what did you do today? Tell me what you did today and how you made somebody else better. So it's a weird thing. You know, my daughter has a boyfriend now and came over to the dinner table, I forget, a couple weeks ago. And, you know, I said, I go through the same thing. I don't care if he's there. I'm not going to change what I do because the boyfriend's there. He's going to learn that I'm a weirdo or whatever the case is. If he wants to hang around, he better learn how I work. So we started that off and he kind of enjoyed it. So it's different, but I think, you know, it's a good thing to tell somebody about your day. And, you know, so I like the idea of asking our family, you know, what did you do today? And, you know, how did you affect somebody? Or, you know, did you have a good day and why or why not? So I don't know. My unwind is not really unwind. I like to always stay busy. So there's not really an unwind. You know, and I hope I never change. You know, I keep thinking somewhere down the road, I'm gonna lose it. But I like sugar. If you really want to know, I'm a sugar fanatic. I just love to eat sugar stuff. So candy bars are like my best friend. I like sometimes for breakfast, I'm letting you inside the inner circle here, just so you know. So don't tell anybody. Jess, don't be recording this and send it out on Snapchat.
Wait, you want to see something funny?
Yeah.
So I was just looking over to like in my room where like my Paupack stuff is, and
yeah. There you go. Look at you.
I got this from probably it's a football thing. So like one of my best friends, Will Hendel,
quarterback.
He gave this to me. I think it was like our senior year or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not supposed to give them out. So
well,
but I got one and it's right here, and it's been with me since. I mean, it sits like it doesn't go anywhere. It's like
now, Jess, here's the big question, Jess. What does it stand for? Ooh.
I did. Okay. I did know this at one point, but I'm stumped. I did know it at one point. It is. Forget about me. I love you. That was it.
Yes.
Dr. E helped me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
I do remember it.
Yeah. I mean, started that, it was weird. You know, I've always believed in family and, you know, being tight knit. And I went to this conference the one time and there was family was written across the wall and it was an acronym. So I didn't hear a word this guy said to me the whole thing, the whole conference. I couldn't think of anything other than I want to know what that acronym stands for. So I ran up as soon as it was over. I said, he goes, yeah, what can I help you with? I said, I want to know about what that wall, what family means. So he said, forget about me, I love you. So I kind of used that in our football program, you know, just to make kids understand it's not about you. It's not about what you do. It's about what you can do for others. So we've always adopted the forget about me, I love you part. It's actually a foundation in California. You know, so every time when we buy these, I buy them every year for our kids and every kid wears one. And if they don't have it on, I get very upset. I don't like them exchanging it with anybody, but Jess, I love that you have that. But that's always something we've kind of stood by. I like the acronyms. You know, we always have TBA, trust, belief, accountability, you know, is another big one for us. But family has always been something I've kind of stuck by, have our kids go by. But again, I lost the breakfast thing. Just got to tell you this one. A lot of times I eat ice cream and cake for breakfast, just so you know. It's something, and everybody always says to me in school, why do you walk so fast? One of our administrators came down the other day and he just was observing me. He stopped me in the middle. He goes, Mark, I can't follow you around anymore. He goes, you're walking around too fast. I can't do this. So, and Dr. Engerman would know that was Travis. We used to be a football coach. Half my football coaches that have worked for me are now administrators. So it's been weird. I was their boss. Now they're my boss. So it's a little strange in a way. But yeah, the secret is sugar. Now I'm not advocating for sugar in any means because it's probably not a good thing. But my sugar levels are very low and controlled. I think I just burn it all off, but that's my energy where it comes from. And I'll stand by that.
Fire it up. That is a great segue until the end here. So it's been a fantastic year. Hopefully you picked up a couple things and gained some value from the experience, and feel free to reach out whenever you guys need to. I'm just an email away.
Yeah, and anybody, if you want, my email is watsonma@wallenpaupack.org, or It is Mark Doc Watson, MARKDOC Watson 56 at gmail.com. So if you want to stay away from the Wallenpaupack number, you could do the Gmail number or the Gmail email. So if you ever have a question or if there's something I can help you with, listen, I love helping people. If there's anything else, a little collaboration, I'd be more than happy to help you out. I love seeing great leaders and great teachers. I work with a lot. I've also seen a lot of bad ones. So, you know, I unfortunately, like a bad doctor is still a doctor. Doctor that gets a C is still a doctor. You know, a teacher that gets a C and gets a job is still a teacher. But, you know, you see them all the time, and you can't. The one thing I will tell you this, you're going to work with people that you don't agree with what they're doing. You're going to work with people that don't work as hard as you. You're going to work with people that do some things that you're not going to agree with. I really don't care what they do. Like everybody says to me, why do you put in this time or why do you do this? I really don't care what other people are going to do. I'm going to do what I think is the best for the students that I teach. And I think that's the right thing. And I always say that to our parents in football when I talk, we have a parent night, and I always say to them, listen, you may not agree with what I think I'm doing, but I agree with it. I really feel in the bottom of my heart with what I do is the right thing for kids. And you've got to develop that philosophy on your own, and you got to believe in that philosophy. If you don't believe in that, then you can't act it. Right? You got to be able to believe into it and to actually do it. So find your niche and work your butts off, and good things are going to happen to you. But you don't worry about others. Don't worry about my dad. One of the greatest things my dad ever told me, he goes, Mark, don't worry about what he's doing. Because I'd always say, Dad, but he's doing, don't worry about what they're doing. Do what you're supposed to do. And that's it. So I've always been that way. And I really don't care what other people do. You know, when we were shut down, when other people aren't coming to school and doing things that I think was right, I'm going to keep doing that. Unless somebody tells me differently, then I've changed. But stay strong, keep working your butts off. And if you ever need something, I don't know what I could ever do for you, but if there's something I could do for you, if you need some help in some way, maybe it's a pat on the back or, you know, something like that, I'd be more than willing to help you out. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text. Dr. Angerman has my cell phone number. I really don't care. I don't care about giving that out. You can text me, whatever you would need there from me, you know, maybe just a pick me up or something. I'll put you on my group chat with my family. I'll give you those Friday pick me ups.
That is epic. Listen, there's nothing more to be said. Just go home and enjoy your family.
I am. That great to meet everybody. I wish I was at your class. That would have been even nicer. I would have liked that.
We're all online. Find your niche, work your butt off, and good things are going to happen.
You better believe it.
Take it easy. Guys, tell that family I said, what's up? We'll talk soon.
Oh, hey, here's our little wall of fame.
Oh, yeah. Check out them.
There's some
trophies.
Some of our trophies.
Piling up. They don't know where to put them. They don't know where to put them. You get so many. Yeah.
Where's the one? There's the one we just won. I'll show you the one we just won.
Nice.
This one right here.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet. Look at that.
You just won this weekend.
Keep racking them up. You got 4.
How about that one? This is the one my kids made me.
Oh, yeah. That is that one.
Yeah.
Just rack them up. You got 4 more years. You only got 4 more years to rack them up.
Hey, I'm gonna take the whole last year as a sick day. I have 250 of them. I'm gonna use those babies.
I think that we definitely talked about that. You should. We should go traveling.
I won't.
We should.
All right, you guys. Have a great night.
Take it easy.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Later, my man. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
Better believe it.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody. That's all I got. He's got the last word. I'm done. You guys take it easy. Have fun with your family. Please fill out that evaluation form. Reach out to me if you need to. If you have questions, don't be a stranger. It's been fun.